Well, welcome back to another episode of Life Along the Streetcar. We've got two guests today. This is exciting. I can usually barely handle one, but we've got Emily and Jody. And you're with a project called the Tucson Tome Gnome.
Yes, the Tome Gnome.
And I understand all of those words, but not necessarily in that order. Can one of you explain to me what the Tome Gnome is?
Sure. So I'm happy to take that one. So the Tome Gnome is a fictional gnome who hides books, otherwise known as tomes. Tome is usually a word meant to describe a big, like hefty, intense book. I wouldn't say the gnome only hides tomes.
Okay.
But we thought it was a clever rhyming.
So
that's what we're here for.
Copies of Tolstoy all over the
No, we don't have like Sartre or anything like that. Like King of Queens.
How did this get started? Apparently you potentially like books, correct?
Yeah, love books. Yeah, we do like books. We all met through book clubs.
Okay.
So it did kind of grow from a blossom of books. This is Emily's story. What happened over dinner? Emily, do you want us to tell us about what happened over dinner?
It's always better if you tell us what Emily told.
Yes. Well, I can start it and then Jody can chime in with like color commentary. So during the pandemic, I felt like books were one of the ways I really kind of got through that time, sort of escaped reality into much more fun and interesting realities most of the time. And so as we started to slowly come out of the pandemic, had dinner with Jody and Mary Ellen, and I'd been sort of thinking through how do we start to recreate community in a different way again? You know, it was a very isolating time. And, you know, books were a big part of what saved me. And I was like, wouldn't it be fun if like we just shared a love of books with our community? So three of us were getting together just to kind of reconnect. And I think I asked the question, like, would it be weird if we just like picked a book and hid it around town, like just as an anonymous, like random act of kindness project, something that's like light, that's feel good, that brings people together, that maybe sparks some joy. And Jody and our third, Mary Ellen, who's not with us today, we're like, that's not weird at all. I mean, maybe it's weird, but we would love it. So like, why not?
It is kind of weird, but this is the right audience.
Yes. I think when you said it was like, would you like it if you just randomly walked up and found a book somewhere on the street? And you were like, yes, this is something I want.
So, Tucson Tome Gnome, does that mean there's other chapters of this, or did you create this specifically and it's only now at Tucson?
We created it really just for Tucson. And so this is a question we get a lot is, are there other chapters? Are there plans for other chapters? The answer is like maybe one day, but we sort of take this project as a fun project where we play it by ear. So we kind of decided from the outset we wouldn't put too much pressure on it to like be or become anything. At Tucson's special, we are such a book community already that it was easy to launch this project here because people love books here. I'm not totally sure how that would go in other cities. It would be interesting to see maybe. I did one day, but...
And are you from Tucson?
Not a native.
Okay.
No, I'm originally from Montana, actually. Been here about 15 years.
Okay, so because you've got no good sense of the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same with me. A transplant from Chicago, but I've been here 13 years. So.
And your other partner, Mary Ellen,
originally from Ohio, but has lived all over the place. Also a transplant. Has been here, I think, almost as long as you, me.
Okay.
Maybe it's more like 12 years, but.
It's interesting because you get Chicago, Montana, the Midwest, you kind of get this different feeling. They show come to Tucson to bring here.
They have picked it. Yeah. I would say, you know, what's great about Tucson as well, and we've had this thought sometimes, is the climate is particularly good for hiding books because we don't get much rain.
Yes.
Or snow.
Might not work as well in Chicago.
Right. You have to be a lot more selective about where you put a book.
When you say a book, so tell me what the process is. How often does this happen, and how do you select it? Is it one book? Is it many books?
Well, Jody, take that. So we hide one book every month on a Sunday. We hide 45 copies all around Tucson.
Okay.
30 of them we do as a scavenger hunt, is what we call it. So we post pin photos on social media. So if you know the location, you can go find the book or see if it's still there. And then 15 we save and hide later. We don't do any hint photos. So it's purely just random acts of joy for people that come across it. Right? And then the way we pick the book is we have very, very long conversations.
Typically, they're pretty current within the last 4 years. We try to do all the genres. We try to primarily do non-white and LGBT community members. So we are amplifying, hopefully, voices that maybe are not getting enough attention that they should be getting.
Okay.
Sorry.
So some definite intentionality behind this. It's not just randomness of,
Right.
what do we get on the discount rack this week?
Yeah.
And so I'll make sure to understand. So 30 of the books are in one location.
They are throughout Tucson.
Okay. So you point, okay. So when you're posting pictures, you're posting pictures of 30 different.
30 different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like a stack of books somewhere and someone comes to, okay.
Oh, no. We start at 8 a.m. and drive all of Tucson, leaving one book per spot.
And is this something, I know that you got a grant recently from the downtown Tucson.
Yes.
And that was what kind of, I saw that as what sparked my interest with it. So are you focusing, it's all over though, but are you focusing on downtown with that grant or?
Yeah, so that grant, it's really amazing. So we frequently, since our inception, we've hidden books downtown. But when we applied for the Downtown Tucson for Everyone grant, it was kind of interesting because they were looking to support events. So we were like, well, not really an event, but we're kind of a once a month event. So it's sort of an event. So on a whim, we were like, let's apply for this and see what happens. But essentially that grant is allowing us to essentially cover the cost of 10 books a month throughout the life of that grant. So between basically end up being February and June, 10 books a month are hidden in the central downtown area.
Okay, so there's a heads up on the scavenger.
I can't.
Although there's still probably 1,000 plus places you can
Just downtown. Yeah.
fill. So the idea of getting this out into the community, I understand, and getting this to, share your love through books. But then how does this idea of the scavenger, was this just let's just make it frustrating for people to get out there and not too easy. We want to develop community, but you've got to earn community.
I think scavenger hunt's not particularly challenging because we frequently tag the location where it is.
It's more of a race than
It's a little bit more of a race than necessarily where is that? Although every now and then, there's a spot that isn't necessarily easily taggable. And we're like, if you recognize this obscure place, then this is yours. And some people immediately know where it is. Others are like, where is this? This sort of thing was in Tucson.
Yeah, I would imagine that serves the other purpose, right? You're putting people that not only reading books, but you're putting them in spaces where they might not normally go.
Yes. We actually get that comment a lot about people when they meet us saying I've discovered so many new spots around the city that I never knew existed, or new murals, or new coffee shops, or new restaurants, whatever.
And we also do focus on small businesses. So we try to only do small businesses or local artist work in town as well as a location.
But you talked about the grant, and I'm assuming that you said that covers 10 books per month for the life of the grant. And that still leaves 35 other books.
Right.
My math is correct. So how does that help?
So we officially became a 501c3 nonprofit back about a year ago, last year, March of 2023, so that we could actually effectively fundraise. So that is how that is funded. So we essentially launch a campaign each year in the fall and fundraise to essentially cover the expense of the books for the following year.
What does that price tag look like?
So for 45 books a month, plus all the sort of supplies, we have stickers on each book and bookmarks, and then some occasional collaborations we like to do. So funding all that. This past year, we made it a goal to raise about $10,000.
Okay. And is that done through corporate entities, or do you have individual donors?
Mostly individual donors, although we did get, again, 2 grants this year, which helped a lot. Because raising that much money through, even though it's beautiful, $20 and $50 gifts can take a while. But we also received a grant from Vantage West, our credit union.
Okay.
Gave us a really generous, basically covered the cost of a whole month. So we're like, that helps. So that plus the Downtown Tucson Partnerships grant, we're like, okay.
It's that's fantastic.
So we want to lean into more of that, I think, some corporate sponsorships or grant writing.
And have you found that your audience are book readers, or you brought people into the book reading fold that maybe are just excited by the hunt and then now they have the book, they have to read it?
I'm going to say it's both. We have met people who are like, I didn't really read as an adult. I didn't really get it. And then they were like, but I went out and I found this book and now I'm like really into reading. Which has been kind of awesome, actually. Like we have had a really fun time connecting with all of the people who go out and hunt in the books. It's been delightful.
Yeah, I would imagine that they give you all kinds of feedback and they're posting their pictures of celebration and they found it. And
Yes, exactly.
have you had any feedback from like any of the authors that you feature?
We have several have really enjoyed it. We typically email the authors usually a week or two before we hide their book. A lot of them like to follow along on social media.
Fantastic.
Many have said, I had no idea there were this many murals in Tucson.
Or I had no idea Tucson was this pretty. So it's
great.
It's funny like that. In fact, one of the authors is actually a founding board member of our nonprofit.
Okay.
Got really invested, TJ Kloon. His was the first book we ever hid. So he fell in love with the project and was like, let me help you. Like, let's do this.
But at Tucson, we have all these different festivals. Our first festival book is a huge draw in here. But do you find, or do you have any sort of data on, are these people from Tucson finding the books, or do you get to all let them out like any sort of mural claim?
Most months, it's generally people from Tucson. Yeah. Every now and then we'll get a random person. Like this past month, there was like the parents of a U of A student who were in town visiting. And we're just like, oh, we're so excited. From California.
Did they randomly find it, or did they know about you and went to the scavenger on it?
I'm actually not sure. I think they might have randomly found it.
I feel like that one was very random. They found it, and then maybe their child also knew of us, and then they reached out.
Possibly.
I don't know if that's really how that went. That's how
it goes now.
Yeah.
We're an oral tradition here. We don't write things down. Parents, there is a connection there. I just find that fascinating. Like that's the type of thing that, if you're in town and like you could plan a trip around the drop. Is it always the same? Is it like the first Sunday, the third Sunday, or is it random?
I would say it's random. We usually try to hit around the middle of the month. Okay. A Sunday around the middle of the month.
Middle to end.
Honestly, it depends on our life schedules. When we end up making time for a whole day of book hiding.
Oh, so this isn't your full-time job?
It's just like,
you're not raking in the big bucks from sponsorships? No?
We squeak by on covering expenses, and for that, we are grateful.
Labor of love.
I
will tell you, there's so many projects in Tucson that start with very humble beginnings, and I'm just going to warn you, I've talked to a lot of people on this show, be careful, because it sounds like a fun idea, and the next thing you know, it explodes. You're like dealing with, we got to get 1,000 books to Chicago Stag.
Oh my.
Well, we've definitely got a few moments where we're like, oh, this thing has a life of its own now.
Yeah.
Because really, when we started, it was just a thing we were like, let's just do this for a few months, bring some joy to the community. We were completely anonymous. It was just this mysterious gnome who hid books. Like no one knew it was us.
And we hardly posted any hidden photos at that point.
No, yeah, it was very low key. Mm-hmm. And then at a certain point, we were like, should we keep doing this? So we kind of paused, and then This Is Tucson wrote a piece about us, and it kind of.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, LDA. Thank you, LDA.
Once it gets out, you can't put it back in. And is the gnome, is this a physical being, or is this just a mythical creature? Do we have a visual or like a description of this gnome?
Is a gnome wears purple.
Okay.
So the gnome, I guess, exists. Technically, yes, there is a physical manifestation of the gnome because my mother created knit gnomes for me.
Oh, today.
But in general, it's a mythical creature.
Yeah. Okay. Wanted to see if there was like special prize if you caught the gnome. Covenant. They should their supply of books for catch the gnome.
Oh gosh, no, sadly
not yet. At least.
Well, how do people follow along? How do they find out? How do they know where the next drop is? What's the best way to track here?
The best way would be to follow us on social media.
Okay.
Yeah. Our Instagram is Tucson Tome Gnome. Mm-hmm. And then Facebook is the same at Tucson Tome Gnome. Yeah, of course, we have our website, TucsonTomeGnome.com.
Surprised that was still available. It wasn't taken.
Grab that when we could.
And are there donation options on your website too? You can support the cause that way?
Yep.
And do you take physical donations? Like somebody want to give you 45 books? Is that something that would take if...
Usually not. Sometimes we have taken some publisher donations if they're brand new books.
Okay.
Because we hide basically 45 copies of one book. So there's not many people who just have that laying around.
I guess that where you would have to have the same books.
Yeah. So it's a tough one. But we do often hear from people who are like, we have all these extra books. And our general approach to that is like, there's so many little free libraries in Tucson. Like that is one of the most beautiful ways to see books in the community.
That was going to be an earlier question, but I kind of skipped right over. I've seen a lot of these libraries. I was curious if they played into your planning for your routes or such, or if
they come up a few of them. So yeah, we've targeted a few specific little free libraries. Yeah.
So if you're a business, can you petition and say, hey, can you put a gnome up to the gnome stop by my place and drop a book off?
Absolutely.
For a slight donation to the.
Absolutely.
All right, and they can reach all through those.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If they'd like to sponsor a mic, we would be open to that as well.
And what does that cost for a month in the sponsor?
If they bought all 45 books, it's about $500, assuming it's a paperback.
Okay. Okay. And then I'm assuming you've got a list of all the selection you've put out. People can find those. How many have you done in the community? How many books? How many iterations of it?
So we just posted, I think, our 32nd
Oh my God.
book hiding. So
That's like 3 years.
we haven't done, oh yeah.
The number, I just did this yesterday, is like just under 1,600 books between all the events and all the monthly vibes.
That is fantastic.
2021? I think it's September.
But we have controversy brewing. Along the Streetcar.
Oh.
We'll get to the bottom of this. We probably we'll say we will.
It's still under 2,000. How's that?
That works. So it's a lot of.
A lot of books, and I'm sure that those books then are being. But I would hope that those books are being passed on as well. Like,
That's actually included in the directions on the sticker and the bookmark that we put in the books. We hope that people will read them and then rehide them in the community or pass them along.
oh, has anyone else done their own scavenger on it? Like, hey, I had this book, and,
Oh, yeah.
and then they just thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So typically we've seen this happen, and we've kind of encouraged on the Sundays that we go hide books, we'll say, and if you have any books you've finished that you found from us previously that you want to go rehide, do that, snap a photo, tag us in the post, and we'll reshare it as like a hint photo.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So every now and then you'll see books from prior months show up, and we'll be like, rehidden tome alert, like, so we can go find us.
Well, I think that's a great community.
Yeah.
Doing technology with a vision. That weird idea around the kitchen table.
Yeah. Well,
Emily, Jody, thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for your time today. I'm looking forward to the next scavenger hunt, and see if you will find me one of these downtown books.
Alice, well, thank you so much for having us. This was really fun.
This was really fun. Thank you. Yeah.